I'm just weird like that. You can hit it. Cool. You can hit it whenever. All right. I'm sitting here with Courtney Digney. We're going to find out where you came from and everything like that. But first, let's get into, we ran into each other 2 weekends ago now. And I was telling you about my move somewhere. You were like, yeah, like, I feel like I might need a little bit of change of pace or not. Like, are you still kind of there? Are you still feeling that? You still might need, like, you want to shake it up a little bit, or where are you at there?
Yeah, I like shaking it up all the time, moving a bunch, sight unseen always. Came from New York, where I was born and raised. Went down to school in South Florida in FAU. Never been on an airplane before, never visited the school until it was time to get into the dorms.
Moving day. Okay.
So it was exciting. I figured there's palm trees. It can't be that bad.
No, never.
And it wasn't at all. I stayed for a while and was living down there, kind of loved it. Then ended up going to LA for a little bit, also sight unseen.
What were you doing? What were you doing during this whole time? Were you in hospitality? Were you in service industry? Were you an airline pilot? Like, what were you doing?
It was a pilot, yeah.
Yeah, I was an airline pilot. I was an airline pilot. I was developing a payment system, and then from there I was going to develop a space program.
Right, something like that. I went to school for criminal justice, and then I graduated, got an office job, and within 60 seconds knew I hated every second of it. But I made it work for a while. I was, serving on the side and that sort of thing, and then eventually got an opportunity with Hilton. And as a server, and I was super nervous to make a jump into something where I'm in control of my paycheck, but then it turned out being the greatest thing.
Yeah, right.
So I was doing that for a while, loved it. But then it was the same thing, I was kind of getting bored and it was time to shake things up. And my brother had moved out to LA and he's like, hey, my roommate's moving out soon. I'm like, all right, I'll pack the car up, pack up everything I own, and got in the car.
Awesome.
Drove to LA for a while.
So your brother moved out to LA. So originally you both, now we've brought your brother into the mix now. Mm-hmm. You both are from
New York.
New York. Okay. Mm-hmm. New York City, New York State,
Long Island.
Long Island. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's like one of those hybrids. Like, it's New York State, but it's also sort of the city. Right. It's kind of the same. Yeah. Are you in the North Shore, South Shore?
South Shore.
South Shore. Mm-hmm. Love that.
Yeah.
Played a lot of baseball out on Long Island. Yeah. So I'm like familiar with, and also unfamiliar, because I mean, you're like 17 at the time. I like barely remember anything. Yeah. But okay, South Shore. So you actually probably weren't that far from me. I mean, we're like the Sandy Hook, Asbury Park area of New Jersey. So we're looking at the same ocean, I think, at this point. Yeah, like staring at the same point in the ocean out there. You guys always used to see those tankers like roll by. But
I guess
we always see it on the horizon. I just see it's funny because it's like, oh yeah, it's 10 miles away, and you're looking, I'm like, that ship is not 10 miles away, and it's like sitting
10-mile vision.
Yeah, it's like sitting right there. But yeah, we grew up watching those things go by. But so you moved down to South Florida. Your brother moves out to LA. What's your brother doing at that time? What brought him out to LA? I mean, I know he brought you.
What do people do in LA?
Right, that's true. Everyone does everything in LA.
No, he was in an ironworker union, dabbling in art, music, everything, of course, on the side. So,
right.
Interesting. Taking advantage of, legal things.
That creative lifestyle. So you move out to LA. Does he bring you into the fold of what he's doing, or you just continue to do?
No, I just hit the ground running. I got 3 jobs off the bat. I was working part-time at Hilton, working part-time at property management company, which was cool. It was, these nice high rises and that sort of thing.
So that was that your first foot in the door to real estate, you think?
Yeah, because I was working front desk at, like $1 million condos and all that.
Right.
And I would see this one guy come down. He lived in there, come down the elevator, meet with a client, bring them up, show them different units, sell them. Like, hey, that's a nice, sweet deal.
Not bad. Not bad.
So I was doing that, working at another Hilton there, front desk as well on the side. And then I was like, I think I would like to do real estate. But, I was just always scared to get into something where I'm not going to make a paycheck for a year or 8 months. And,
Right. I mean, that's the stigma of real estate, is that the overhead could be bananas. You don't know when your first paycheck's going to roll in. So let's talk about it. So you're like, okay, I'm living out in LA. What hit me like timeline? When was that, like year wise?
It started in 2019. I got there in January. Started off the new year, new coast, new state, new time zone, all that. Stuck it out almost a year, and then I had a couple of friends that were actually from South Florida moving into Brooklyn, and the timing kind of just worked. And I was, maybe it's time to go back. You know, it was crazy. I was working 3 jobs. And
did you miss the East Coast? Or?
Yeah, the people are way different. The vibe, everything's different. So yeah, so I took that opportunity when they were moving in and went back to New York and was living in Brooklyn for a while right before COVID and all that.
What section of Brooklyn?
Bed-Stuy.
Okay. Yeah.
On Howard. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Brooklyn is a great case study for just full, complete turnaround of like insert yourself, cheap real estate, and then make basically something out of nothing.
Yeah.
I think Brooklyn is an awesome opportunity for people to go there and kind of like let their mind flourish and like kind of like bump elbows with people you just characters essentially, and then you're just like, wow, this person's great, whatever. The Red Hook Winery, there's all kinds of stuff over there. That's really exciting. So pre-COVID, you move into Brooklyn, you're doing, and you're like this. I don't really like this part, but I think it's very important.
Well, that wasn't yet.
Right.
I was a personal assistant first.
Okay.
For super high-end CEO of a production company. She was, total boss lady. And so that was, like one of those things, rubbing elbows with the right people.
Yes.
Super cool to see. I mean, one of my first days, she's like, oh, can you go fix my necklace at Louis Vuitton and go into Hermes and do all this stuff? And I'm like,
easy. Cake.
Do you want sparkling or flat water? I was like, you're asking me.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. So this is pre-COVID. All of a sudden, work our way to COVID. World kind of collapses.
Yeah.
Out of work. In Brooklyn, you turned to Amazon.
Yes.
And I think this is super important because life happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
COVID happened to everybody, and it's a matter of like what you do with it.
Mm-hmm.
You start working at Amazon. You're scanning packages. You're doing whatever you're doing. And again, the same way you were in LA, you're like, I need to change. This isn't it. I'm going back to Florida. Other than the property management thing, which is honestly kind of cool and pretty funny because I didn't know that about your story, is you come down here, a friend is like, hey, there's opportunity here. They're always looking for this. You were a scholarship recipient?
Yes.
Yeah. So we used to run a scholarship, and I think when we spoke to Reese too, he was probably one of the last ones, and you were actually might have been one of the first ones because that's when it happened. Was COVID was when we were kind of like, well, what if we had the scholarship program giving people opportunity to get licensed that maybe thought about it, whatever. So you come in here and I mean, just absolutely destroying it. I mean, how was your what? I always like to ask the question, first dollar on the wall at your pizza company. From when you started here, when was the first time you put the dollar up on the wall?
Well, got my license September of 2020. And then the following month, I executed my first contract. That closed in November. So that was my first dollar. It was the most expensive house I sold for a while too, right in Ponte Vedra. And I didn't know where I was, didn't know anything. And just
not a bad opportunity.
You could just kind of take every opportunity, of course. So closed my first one November, then closed about 5 in December. And
yeah. So that was we'll call that your first, it was Q4 essentially, but your first year. So this will be your first active year from January to December in real estate. Yes. How do you like it?
I love it. It did start off rocky. So, I mean, right, hit the bat, close 5 in December, boom, January comes. And then, I don't know, I was kind of hitting a rough patch, it was like 13 cancellations. It was just one thing after the next. It was just, everyone was a, different situation, but I was like, all right, I mean, what am I going to, I've got to show up, you just keep showing up, keep doing the, all the things and, don't let it get you knocked down. And, I came to a point where I just sat and I wrote down everything and I added it up and I was like, I don't know if I'm making myself crazy, but from then I didn't have any more cancellations.
Right.
And then, took until about like April, May, kick back in and,
Yeah, that's wild because a lot of, especially first-time agents, you sold 5 homes in Q4 alone. Mm-hmm. Some people will sell 5-7 homes a year. Mm-hmm. So to come off that kind of quick success and then to hit this patch of like, what am I doing wrong? Is it me? Is it the market? Is it my buyers? Who is it? Mm-hmm. But to sit there and tough through, I mean, we say that all the time. It's like, we'll never give up on anybody who's working hard and outworking other people. Like, you're going to run into bad luck. It's real estate. If anything can go wrong, it's gonna go wrong. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. No doubt. Like, you can almost, the one thing you can count on is that something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of how you kind of respond and deal with that. And it's honestly, it's great because you went through that rough patch knowing that like, okay, these things happen. because we do have agents that come in here with like just a tremendous amount of excess just right off the rip and just don't slow down pretty much ever. So it's good that you kind of have that speed check of like, hey, you know, because if you get, I mean, you see it. You get people with a hot head a little bit, and then they get kind of like down on their luck, and they like don't know really how to handle it. It's like, just chill out, all right? Like you're gonna be fine. So that's great that you persevered through that. I saw one of the things on your big goal of yours and on your vision board was to buy a new car.
Yeah.
Did we get it?
Yes. So, I mean, moving across the country, of course, I had a lot of miles on my car.
Okay.
AC was ready to go out, and I was like, I've never, bought a brand new car. It's always been the hoopty kind of thing. And then, so I printed out a picture of, what I even have? A Trailblazer, and I put it right on my little vision board. And I printed out like a picture of credit cards with a big 0 next to it. So I struck through that, paid off the credit card debt, traded in my car.
The old girl, and now you got the new one.
I told him to make sure it goes to someone fun who will take it on road trips. It's not a commuter car.
So, I mean, but it's so great that you have, even with this sort of like, I don't want to call it bounce around lifestyle, but you've seen a lot of places.
Yeah.
To come in here and have a completely different mindset and personality as somebody else that people would say a realtor has. This crazy, hungry, driven, like you're all these things in your own way. And I think that to me is awesome to see that we're providing this opportunity. You've said, okay, this is who I am. This is what I want. How can I make this person get there? And you've done it through, a lot of shit. Yeah. Right. A lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more so that it's the business of dealing with people, and the houses come second.
So, right. Yeah. So. Right. Well, but it's funny because I keep seeing this like little trend, even if you're not from sales, people have this hospitality service kind of like niche about them. And I don't like the term a servant's heart, but it's kind of like what it is. You're like, you're there to service somebody. So even though you're selling them on a home, you're basically just an intake person that's just like, okay, this person likes this, this, and this. Let's just find that. But again, in a struggling inventory market, it's like hard to come by.
And it's knowing the person too. I mean, you might know everything they want, but it's all about your approach to them. I mean, I've been driving down A1A and I was like, oh, I see an open house. And I called someone, hey, are you ready in 15 minutes? I think, you'll like this spot. Let's FaceTime. And then we FaceTime by sight unseen, and
that's
just crazy things.
So like that has like actually that's like,
and she wanted certain neighborhoods, and I knew, but this one wasn't in that neighborhood. But I know, I'm like, this will fit her style. It's you read the person. I'm like, she wants beach bubble. You know what they're looking for. And I called her. I'm like, hey, are you free in 15 minutes? Can I FaceTime you? Sure. We're walking around. She's like, all right, let's.
That is excellent. I would be curious to see if there are any more kind of like stories like that, to where you're just like a run and gun, like sheer happenstance. But at the same time, yes, it's your happenstance, but it's also you thinking about your clients and the people that you're dealing with.
Having it fresh,
right? Like how easy would it have been to just drive right past that house and be like, man, Linda, I'm sorry, there's just no houses for sale. We just are just not gonna find your thing. But just by you being in that area, constantly thinking about how to provide the best service to these people is awesome. When you got here, based from your friend's perspective of whatever that person told you to come here, what was your initial impression when you got here? You're like, hey, I don't even know your friend's name. What's your friend's name? Elizabeth, you were either so wrong, so right, this is crazy, what did you get me into? Like, what was kind of like that your first
she's definitely so right. I mean, and it's funny, she didn't really know much about it, but kept sending me this link for the scholarship. She's like, I know, I've seen so many people go here and, they blow up right away. And it's, it's, trust me, I think it's a good thing. And I was like, all right, fine. Just get on and do it. And I spoke with Megan, and that was one of my things too. I was nervous to, I said, I don't want to not make money for a while and all that. And she's like, no. Give it 6 weeks. And I said, all right, I have enough saved up for 6 weeks. And then came in and just love, the innovation. Of course, I read the website and it says we're innovative, this and that. I'm like, all right, everyone says that.
Right. But how are they?
Yeah. So, and it was just always so much energy and, obviously bouncing around. That's kind of what I like to be, where it's not going to be, we've always done it this way. So I like, rolling with the punches.
Right. I mean, we're definitely a team that is going to change. So even though we're in the same industry, and so it's a great question. What do you think from when you started here, how different and how similar are we from when you just first started? I mean, I know kind of the answer to this of things we were doing, then started doing, then we're not doing, and then other things we're doing. What is that? What is your kind of perspective on that?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I just kind of been focusing on, on what I'm trying to do and, trying to, get my personal goals in. So sometimes it's like all of a sudden you step out for a second, you're like, whoa, like this is where we are. I mean, just seeing as a team, how much we've grown and, looking at the numbers, numbers don't lie. And it's, it's crazy to see how much has changed from 20 to 21. So, that's been exciting. But I think, overall, I think, the standards, might change where, we're held to certain, certain levels of, staying accountable and doing certain things, certain numbers and meeting the criteria. But I think overall it's all for the same purpose, and they're very driven on goals and personal goals as well.
Right. So, I mean, it's for you. And I think you nailed it when you said the accountability. It's like accountability is huge if you don't have anybody that's speed checking you. And that's why I said it's honestly great that you went through that kind of rough patch because it was just like the universe speed checking you where you're like, right? Which is great because someone's got to do it. And a lot of people, it's how you react is what's going to make or break the type of person that you are. And that's obviously why you're sitting here with a new car, with no credit card debt, with all this opportunity, because you were given an opportunity. You're like, this is wild. I sold 5 of them. Crazy. Like got this money flying in. Then you're like, I haven't sold a home and I can't even tell you how long.
Right.
But just doing the same thing over and over again, being consistent, believing in that what you're doing is working. It's just this weird situation that's happening, and it's happening to everybody. I mean, it's literally a global pandemic. I can't even tell you how many times I've spoken to somebody and I'm like, yeah, you're not the only person that COVID's affecting. You realize this, right? Like basically the whole world. It's not like this is just like an American thing or even just like a you thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's tremendous. Well, listen, we absolutely love you. I mean, I'm so happy that you have found kind of like your calling, so to speak.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you have a new car. When do you think the house purchase is going to happen? You think you're going to purchase here? Or?
So it's my goal for 2021. So, it takes a while to be able to get pre-approved
For
as,
sure.
1099. So my goal is by my birthday in May to be able to be pre-qualified. And then by August, make my first purchase when my lease ends.
Love that.
So
that's awesome. But I mean, how crazy is that you can have a projected goal like that and know that it's going to compound getting there because of the opportunity and how hard you work.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's also just a matter of being good, behaving.
Well, right. Holidays are coming up. Like the weather's going to get like a little crispy down here a little bit. It's going to cool off. Are you going to plan anything? Just kind of like, hey,
I've got a few trips planned.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Well, we love you here. I hope you have a great time on those trips. And I hope that, next time we speak, I want to hear about the home that you decided to purchase.
Absolutely.
I want to hear all about it. All right.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Court. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
See you guys.